Greetings from the south side of the universe. It's your cousin Zaey de la Soul. Welcome back to the fourth. Is this the fourth? Yeah, this is the fourth. We back at it with the fourth episode of Cooking with Soul. Today, we getting back on regular scheduled program. I know the last video was a long video, but today we're gonna keep it short and we're gonna keep it sweet. Today I'm gonna take y'all through my process of how I made this Griselda-esque grimy beat, I think I did really good. It's very much that splat, that fire, you know what I'm saying? Um, Without further ado, let's get to cooking with soul. Okay, so for this particular beat, I know it look like I got a lot going on, but it's really not a lot. Just stick with me for a moment. So I of course sampled. I found a dope sample. It was a spiritual jazz sample. And I'm gonna play a little bit of the original sample for y'all, and then we gonna get into how I chopped it up. All right, y'all. So it's kind of giving me some eerie vibes when I heard it, and I was like, okay, how can I flip this? Cause you know, I got to thinking, got to experimenting with some chops. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of trial and error trying to chop this up, but this is what I came up with. All right, now as you can hear, I kept it real simple when chopping the sample. Didn't want to get too complicated. I wanted to come up with some chops that were unique, but were just very simple. And to kind of switch it up at the ending, the tail ending right here, I have this little chop playing on the top of another sample chop, just to kind of give it some variation towards the end. And I'm gonna play that for y'all again. So when that plays, it's kind of giving it some, some flavor, if you will. Now I didn't just do this. I also created another chop section and got a little bit different with my chops, and I'm gonna show y'all that right now. So I duplicated the Serato sample, kind of did the same chops, but for the first section, for the first 4 bars, I kept these three the same, but I went a little different with the chop that's on top of the ending chop at the bottom, and I'm gonna play that for y'all. You'll see the difference. So, nothing too crazy. I like what I did. It's definitely something different. And what I do is both of these chop sections, I alternate them throughout the beat to kind of give them some flavor, because I don't want the same chop section playing over and over again, because I feel like that gets real played out. And you know, I knew I was doing something right when I started um coming up with the chops, and then creating both sections, and I was just bobbing my head. I knew I was like, yeah, I'm in the right ballpark. But before I can get that home run, we gotta come up with the drums. So let me show y'all what I did for the drums. All right, y'all. So for my drums, I got a simple little kick right here. You know, I got a very gritty, I feel like, hi-hat, a snare. It's got some thump to it, real thumpy. And I got a little percussion playing. And I got some reverb and delay on there, because just to give it some spice, I didn't want it to just sound flat. I want it to sound like it's echoing, like when somebody, so when it plays, it's like, you know. I hope I'm making sense, y'all. I be going with the flow when I'm making beats. I don't be trying to get all technical. Even though I ain't gonna lie, nah, I did get hella technical a little bit with the last Cookin Wit song, cause yeah. But we ain't gonna get too technical. We just gonna, play the vibes and let y'all hear the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, let me play these drums for y'all. Nothing too crazy. And for my effects, what I did was, for my drums, I always love to add fruity parametric EQs. For my hi-hats, I add reverb. For that percussion, I added a delay and a reverb. And also for all of my drum sounds, I route them to another bus. And I put on that bus channel rack, I put a refire, which a refire is basically like it gives your drums some extra character. So you got the bang, which makes them thump harder. Some heat, which I believe that's some saturation, I want to say. And some sub and tone. Now, I messed with the knobs a little bit, didn't get too crazy with them. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, nothing too wild. And for my sample channel racks, I added a parametric EQ, fruity delay, fruity flanger, and now the last thing we're gonna get into is the bass. Okay, so let me break down my bass for y'all. For my bass section, I have two bass sections for the two different separate sample chop sections. So I have a bass section for the first sample chop section that kind of has more of a groove. It's not a lot going on, but it's a lot of, you know, movement in the bass. And with this other section, because I added two different variation spots. Variation spots, is that the right word? Um, I I kind of just kept it simple with the second bass section, because I wanted to keep it just simple and take all of that movement out of the bass. Still kind of give like a good little groove, but it's just more simple. And I'm gonna play both sections for y'all. Oh, and for my bass, what I add is I add an EQ to cut out the highs, and as always, I use a decapitator to thicken up the bass and make the bass fat. So let me play that for y'all. Okay, so now do y'all see the difference in the basses? Like I said, was trying to, for one section, I wanted to have the bass to have a lot of movement and groove, and for the other bass section, I just wanted to keep it a little simple. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this beat. I haven't properly structured it out yet, so you can do like a verse or maybe some hooks, whatever the case may be. I typically just go to I typically just structure out a hook section, not a hook section. I typically try to start out with the verse sections and then go from there. But it's she's a little chaotic, she's a little bit of everywhere right now, but I think she's pretty, she's a pretty lady. But that's pretty much it. Oh, and for the main, I typically love to have the original sample play in the beginning, and I have gross beat on the channel rack and fruity delay so that there's a vinyl stop before the actual sample chop plays. So that's pretty much it, y'all. This is a quick episode, it's episode 4. We really winding down to the last episode, y'all. Next episode is gonna be the last episode. I'm excited, but I'm also kind of sad because I'm like, man, I can't believe it. We on the last episode. We getting to the last episode. But with that being said, thank y'all so much for stopping by on another episode of Cookin with Soul. That's me, Zaey De La Soul. And be sure to hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. And join the Soul Swim Network family. We would love to have you as an executive and be a part of the network that's growing day by day. But until then, this has been your Cuzzo. And as always, much love from the Southside of the universe.